What's going on, everybody? Happy Friday. It is time for another 20-minute logo design challenge. Today I'm going to be redesigning the Pier1 Imports logo. Before we get started, please hit like and subscribe and click the bell for notifications. It'll tell you every time I upload a new video. Now let's get started. So the Pier1 logo is one of those logos where I don't necessarily love or hate the logo. I actually feel that it works quite well for what it is, type of thing. It's one of those stores that people kind of often, I don't know about forget about, but they don't really tend to think of it. I know I certainly don't. Like there's one, or there was one by the mall that I used to go to, and every time I would drive past it, I would say, "Oh yeah, I forgot there's a Pier1 Imports over there." But about 20 years ago, I remember doing some shopping in there and liking some of the things that they had. So I don't really know what direction to go with this, and also I was looking here on Google and I can't find any other version of the logo that actually seems to exist. It's always been this kind of stencil type of lettering for as long as I can remember. So I guess that's kind of a good thing. That means that I can just kind of really kind of explore some stuff as far as the typography goes. And I am going to do that actually. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change things up a little bit. I'm going to go into just kind of go into looking at some fonts before I really even get started. I feel like, in the ones that I've been doing up to this point, sorry, I meant to click on sans serif there. The ones that I've been doing up to this point, I've been, hitting the timer and then looking for fonts. I really think that I need to find an actual font that I think would work best first and then start the timer. So I think I'm going to try to do that. And, it's Google font. So obviously the first thing that's going to show up here is going to be Roboto, Open Sans, Noto Sans Japanese, all the ones that are that tend to show up first. So what I'd like to do is kind of go past all of these ones that are, that we see a lot of. I'd like to find something with a little bit more personality to it. I don't want it to, I don't want to go the Helvetica route. I don't want to go the, the Swiss design route. I definitely want to do something that is a callback to the past logo so that it's nice and familiar, but still, do something new. I actually like this one here, this Barlow condensed, although I feel like the dot on the top of that eye is a little bit too heavy. So I'm going to just kind of leave that option open and see what other options we have here. I'd like to maybe hit page down a few times and just kind of get into some of these deeper fonts that people, tend to kind of ignore. This Didact Gothic is nice, but I'm not a big fan of that R and the T. Of course, I can go in and adjust the kerning and everything, but once I get into, timing myself and everything, I definitely want to make sure that I'm not spending too much time doing that. Of course, refining the logo is also very important. But I think that I need to pick something here, and I almost wish that there was like a random font. That would be interesting as kind of like a challenge point, like randomly get assigned a font and have to design it based on that. This is interesting, this bench 9 right here. So, all right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to download both of these and go ahead and install them. And this is the this is kind of a pro and a con to using Google Fonts. You have to manually install the Google Fonts. However, the pro is that that they're installed and they're actually there for you to use, as opposed to Adobe Fonts where you have to wait for it. So, all right, so I think I'm just going to limit myself to these two, and maybe that's an interesting perspective or approach, is to find two fonts and limit yourself just to those fonts while I'm doing these challenges. So let's go ahead and do our 20-minute timer. And I have an Illustrator file open here. And the first thing I'm going to do is that Barlow font. I'm going to try this first. And as you can see here in the Pier 1 logo, those that Pier and the 1 are together. And I'd like to, I definitely want to do something that's familiar. So I'm going to start with like a condensed version right here. And I want to also see what it looks like without the all caps. And I think that just in looking at this, I can go ahead and get rid of the all caps one, because I definitely like the sentence case better here. So this is in dire need of some nice optical kerning. Whoops. And so I'm going to go ahead and go into optical, and then we'll just kind of go from there, that point, just kind of clean it up a little bit. And I actually kind of like the tightness between that I and that E right there. The E and the R need to be branched out a little bit. While I'm doing this, if you're unfamiliar with Pier 1, I mean, I'd imagine that people do know about Pier 1, but it's just it's a place where you can go and buy home decoration stuff, and I've actually always liked the stuff that's in there. So I've always been a big fan of it. And also, I want to try something a little different here too. I want to kind of go through the evolution of both of them at the same time. And the lightweight on that is very interesting. I want to see what it looks like in all caps. Yeah, I just don't think that it's going to work in all caps, and it's probably because of the word Pier. Like, the word Pier itself is not something that you really see a lot of, so it needs to be obvious when you see it that it is Pier, and then adding that 1 in there. I'd like to try, what if we did something like that, where we kind of changed up the branding entirely and added in a hyphen right there. And I think that if we, as much as I like the light version, try that. No, it gives too much inconsistency there. All right, so we'll do the same thing here. We'll just kind of go in and adjust some of this kerning, and I actually do like some of the kerning that we've got going on here. I think I'll open that up just a little bit. That's looking good. And the hyphen there is going to be the shortest line that you can do. You could also do an in dash if you want something a little bit longer. Let's just kind of see what that looks like. That's definitely too long. And then an M dash would be way too long. All right. So I think that between the two of these, this is probably more familiar because it's so similar to this in just in terms of the way that the letters are shaped. We've got that nice balance of light and heavy in the lettering. So I think that I may actually lean towards this one because it's familiar enough, but it's not too familiar. So like it's an obvious, this to me would be a little bit more of an obvious rebrand. I want to see if there's an alternate. There is an alternate glyph. That, man, it's so subtle, but it is interesting. It is a little bit of a thicker weight, and I think that it actually works better. Yeah, I think that it works better. That bottom one there. And I do also want to try doing something like we did earlier with the, although this does kind of make it look like, a chemical name or something like that. So may not be the best thing to do, but I think that adding in that little bit of a space in there can really help out. I may explore if there's a way to add some kind of a branding element in between the R and the 1. But I'm not exactly sure what it is. The first thing that came to mind is like a set of arrows, maybe, imports. But I guess I would also show imports and exports, and we're not going like a Art Vandelay route here for anybody who caught that reference. But I wonder if you were to do something like this and take the same weight as that, and we'll just kind of grab the ends, push them out just a little bit, and then make your arrow. And then since these are rounded, these corners right here, we'll slightly round these corners as well. And then just kind of bring it right there. And that way we are actually creating some kind of like a little arrow here, signifying that the goods have been imported, I guess. I'm going to go ahead and let's save a copy of this over here. Create outlines. And the good thing about this is since we have this editable shape going on here, we can kind of place it wherever we want to, and then we can adjust it based on where we want it placed. And I'd like to create some kind of a line here just so we know exactly where the dividing line is, or the midpoint of that font. So we'll just kind of do the same thing here. So let's align it to that line, although it's going to be a little bit too high for that R. So I think what we'll do is just kind of do something like this, and we'll get the spacing around that pretty even. Okay, so the way that this is sitting right now, it's obviously too long. So let's bring it in pretty dramatically, actually. Maybe something like that, and then bring this over here, get a nice good frame around it. Okay. So for something like this, you could do it in the blue. And you know what? I still feel like it's just a little bit too long, so let's bring it in maybe something like this. You want to make sure that the arrow is nice and balanced. And you know, your arrow could also be a branding element. Okay, that's pretty cool. I like that. It's a nice condensed arrow. And what I might do here is select that arrow and then go like a lighter version of the blue, something like this. Maybe you don't want to get it too bright. So that's pretty cool, actually. I like that. So Pier 1, and then in this version of the logo or the rebrand, I'd like to spell out the word imports, but maybe we can do just the regular width of this. What do we have this in before? Is it semi-bold? Yeah, or semi-bold. So if we did semi-bold, I'd like to maybe bring it down a couple of weights. And then obviously we'll bring it down in size. So maybe to around 150, something like that. Or maybe even a little bit more. And then, you know, my first thought was to increase the tracking and like really spread out those letters. But I don't think I'm going to do that, actually. So we've got optical, kerning, and for the most part, I am pretty happy with the spacing in between these. Just kind of bring this one in a little bit. Bring this one in. And then this one in about 20 or something. So let's grab this. And maybe we do something like this. So we'll just kind of draw a box around it. And then make sure that our anchor point is in the center. And maybe add... Oops. Now we're going to have to add more than that. So like, well, maybe not that. Another 1/4 inch, and then we'll add 1/2 inch, because we did half an inch on the top and bottom, and now 1/2 inch on the sides as well. And if we have enough contrast, I don't think we have enough contrast to do that. Okay. So, and just in looking at this, we're going to have to add at least another 1/2 inch all around. So I think that's good right there. And then also we could reverse this out. So now our shape actually looks like this. So this right here could be like, this could be a good placement of that, although it does get a little bit long. So maybe something like this right here. And let's go ahead and group this whole thing together so that we can align it perfectly underneath. And we'll go up to the baseline instead of the bottom part of that E right there, so that way we're aligning to the baseline itself and not just to the overall shape. And then we'll push it down by 1 inch. Looks good. And what you could also do with this is you could do a couple of variations on this logo. So let's get rid of the I, E, and the R, and then just bring in the P and the 1. And if we're going to do this, maybe bring this down. Although it is, I mean, it's good in terms of, you know, bringing the P and the 1 a little bit closer together. The only problem is I mean, I think if you're going to bring it down, you got to bring it down a lot. So let's do this and then really bring this in and just kind of make sure that all of those areas around there are matched up. And I think that actually works pretty well. You could do this on name tags, and you could do it on signage like around the store and everything. You could even do it on like the side of a building or something like that. You could even work in something like this right here. And of course, you know, if this was if Pier1 Imports was a humongous store and they had multiple levels and they had like a multi-level car garage or something, you could do P1, P2, P3, so on and so forth. So, okay, this is cool actually. I like this. How are we doing on time? So we've got just under 8 minutes left. I'd like to see if we can do something because we spent most of the time here doing the Barlow font, and I'd like to see if we can go back to, what was it, bench 9, and see if we can do something with that one. And let's see, Pier 1. I think this time I'll try something in all caps and just see what we can do. And actually, I kind of have an idea. Let me see if there's any. Okay, no alternate glyphs there. And what if we did like light and then bold, so the 1 itself is bold. And what we could do here is, I'll probably just do something crude just so I can get the idea together. And for something like this, you're going to have to really bring up the brightness of that blue. Okay. So the Pier 1, isn't yellow one of their colors? Or I guess you could, you know, since we're doing a fake rebrand, we could introduce yellow as one of their colors, right? That's interesting. Okay, so Pier 1 right there. And let's, I think we've got enough time to do this. Let's kind of bring this in here. That's looking good. And should we do the same thing? I don't know. I'm so indecisive with this right now, and I am running out of time. So I think that because we have such an intense contrast in weight and color, that I am actually going to just leave it like this. So Pier 1 without any kind of without any space in between, without any kind of symbol in between. This is getting a little bit, yeah, there we go. That's better. So let me create outlines on this. Let's go all the way to the edge, and then we'll just kind of back it off by a little bit until we get to where we want. So it looks like -1 is going to look good. And then we'll do the same thing here. We'll get all the way to the edge. Anchor point is set at top left. So we'll just add 1 inch. And I had an idea. Let's see if this works. Let me lock this real quick. Okay. I'm just curious. Oops. I meant to grab all of those. There we go. Just curious to see if this works. I don't really know where this comes from, but it came from somewhere. Oh, that's interesting. Of course, it changed the colors and everything, so let's do just a knockout of the... There we go. And of course, that's going to change these colors right here, so we'll do the same knockout there. Oops. Yeah. Let's do this. Let's do it all at the same time. There we go. Okay, so that's pretty cool, actually. And I think, just kind of looking at it from a distance, is it still recognizable as reading as Pier 1? You know, I think it is, but I think that it's just missing something, and I'm not sure what that something is, and I don't know if we can fix it at this point. But you have the Pier 1. I think that for this one, definitely adding the word imports at the bottom is going to help. And I would like to try at least maybe like 75 point right there. I think it needs to be a little bit larger, something like maybe 85. And I do like the tracking, and I actually like this this whole unit right here and the way that it's all looking. So let's grab this and align it to the center. And half an inch down. Okay, so I do like this, although you know what it's making me think of? It's making me think of sunscreen. So it's not, you know, maybe not the best thing in the world for, you know, selling home decorations. But let's see what we got here. So, okay, we got a little under 3 minutes. Let me, since I have time, let's not do caps for this font, and then let's try something like this. Sorry, I'm kind of focused right now, so let me do this. I'll try to talk through as much as I can. So for something like this, I don't know exactly what I would do with that. I just kind of typed this out as kind of instinct. I just felt like it needed to be. I feel like it needed to be there for some reason. And then we'll do this. And then I still like. Well, you know what? What if we just did? I mean, that's interesting. It's, you know, it's not really anything earth-shattering, but it's something. Out of all the logos of all time, this is one of them. Yep, and let's try this right here. I just want to grab a different configuration. And I actually did like that yellow that's in there. I wonder if, oh, let's not do that. Probably not. Let's just do something. Let me just do something real quick. What if it was an all yellow? Pier1 Import, and then the imports was in white. It's interesting. Although it's not really, you know, the hardcore shoppers that are shopping at Pier 1 and like really know Pier 1's products and everything, I'm not 100% sure if they would see this and immediately think, oh, they redesigned their logo and it's still Pier 1, it's still recognizable. Let's see here. Okay, I've only got 23 seconds, so I'm just going to do this for you, okay? Helvetica Bold. There you go. Pier 1. And let's change your blue right there. And you know what? I don't have enough time to fancy it up. There you go. Pier1 Imports in Helvetica. So if this were, what was it? I think it was 2017. Everybody was doing Helvetica for their rebrand. And there's my timer. Let me turn that off for you. Okay. So I'm not going to be designing anymore. This is, yeah. Okay. So out of these that I've put together here, I think that my favorite is probably this one right here. Although I think this is interesting, but this looks more like a sunscreen ad or maybe like a resorts or something. And like, even though I see the word imports there, I'm reading it as resorts, which is kind of making me think of like a vacation or a getaway or hotel or something. So it's not, I don't think that it really fully communicates what Pier 1 Imports is. This one is a little bit better. We're kind of introducing that yellow to contrast with the blue, and the imports in white, I think works really well. But I think that as far as branding potential, this is probably the best one. Obviously, I would refine it, and then you could do some really cool branding stuff. Introduce a lot of creativity with that little arrow right there. And then as far as this one goes, this is pretty much a variation on this one, so that I don't really feel like there's too much to say about it. And then, of course, at the very end, I just kind of threw in a Helvetica one. So I don't know. Which one is your favorite? Let me know in the comments. Well, thanks a lot for watching me try to redesign the Pier 1 Imports logo. That one was fun. It's a company I don't know a whole lot about. I've been there a few times throughout the years and everything, but maybe next time I think I'll try like something that maybe I'll try a product that I use a lot. The first thing that comes to mind is Apple, but I'm not redesigning the Apple logo. I'm not going anywhere near that territory. So if you like this video, please hit like and subscribe at the bottom. Also click the bell for notifications. It'll notify you every time I upload a new video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.